What's going on, Pond? Welcome back to the Koi Pond episode 13. I'm your host with the most, CC, and that is my co-host, KC, previous winner of the Super Bowl, back for another great episode. And we made it.
Here we
end of the regular season, postseason, NFL season, however you want to word it.
Pretty much the NFL season, and
It's done.
it kind of sucks,
It's
but
bittersweet.
here we are, and
The start of something new.
So
And congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs, woohoo!
Bastards. But
25-22 and a hell of a game. Had all the moments, a little bit of controversy.
yeah,
Star players, coming through. Star players
fumbling.
fumbling.
It was
And as a Cowboy fan, all you want to see is the 49ers lose. So
yeah, I was happy.
From a standpoint of that, I was very excited.
Yeah, no, I very, very much agree. It was a good game to watch. I had a lot of fun watching it. Like you said, it had a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Can't really complain more than that. It would have been nice if a few players could have stepped it up a little bit for the bets, but no complaints there. Honestly, across the board, it was good. One of the better Super Bowls it feels like we've seen.
Yep, for sure. And it, again, San Francisco got out to the early lead. They were playing well initially, and the Chiefs kind of were trying to figure things out, I guess.
They got off to a slow start for the first time in the playoffs. It really
Yeah.
felt like it was the only game, I think, where they lost that first half.
Yeah.
Which, is what it is. They ended up winning the second half and the whole thing, but it was not what I expected notionally, to be honest with you.
There was some stat about, was it all the Super Bowls so far for Pat Mahomes? They've been down 10-0 or something like that.
There was some stat like that. I can't remember who and what, but it was like he's come from behind in all three games, at least.
And so I really had the thought that the 49ers would come from behind, but it was really the other way around.
That's what I thought. I mean, no joke. Every Kansas City game, they were up in the first half, and they technically lost the second half, I think. And then 49ers had comebacks in all of their games.
Yeah.
So the fact that it flipped right off the bat surprised me, but, who knows? Maybe that was part of it, or, that might have been the Chiefs wanted to adjust and be able to win the game while the 49ers wanted to come out hot for the first time. So it just was the perfect switcheroo, but it is what it is. Patrick Mahomes has his third Super Bowl.
Pretty amazing. And the guy is not even 30 yet.
I know. And, the comparisons were already being made before him and Tom Brady before this game, leading up to it. But now it's just like he's on pace to do better on paper than Tom Brady, which means there's a legitimate conversation, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
I don't think you could even say at this point that you can't have that conversation. If he loses the Super Bowl, then you can bring it back a little bit, have more of a conversation of what it would take to get him in there. But now it's like, no, he's in the running and arguably kind of ahead.
He is. Because the pace is already quicker.
He's
2-3 faster than anybody.
Yeah, he's. Was his fourth Super Bowl or is his fifth?
I think it's fifth.
Fifth Super Bowl, and he's won 3 of them.
Yes.
Because he lost to Tom Brady.
And
maybe someone else if he was the backup on the Chiefs.
Maybe the Rams or something like that.
Something weird. But I saw that, as for stats go, in the first 3 Super Bowl wins for Brady versus Mahomes is already kind of lapping him.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady, as it stands. I'm just saying the pace has been set to make this interesting, which sucks for the AFC West, but so be it.
Well, and here's the thing. It sucks for the NFL.
Yeah.
If you're not a Chiefs fan. Because what struck me about the game is the Niners, have demolished the Cowboys.
Right.
The Niners look so good. And to me, it's like you got Kyle Shanahan, you've got Christian McCaffrey, you've got, all that talent, and they couldn't beat them.
Right.
And they've got their shit together.
I completely agree.
So while I enjoyed seeing San Francisco lose, it also was discouraging to me. Like, how will the Cowboys get over the hump?
Well, and as an NFL fan, having someone like Patrick Mahomes in it is good for the league.
No
Without
doubt.
him, the league would grow. With him, the league will grow a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Given the Taylor Swift stuff, it definitely helps bring in some more
diverse, expansive,
being stereotypical female demographic.
Right.
So be it. Not complain about any of that. But to go from, if you're my age at 24, growing up, it was only Tom Brady for the most part. to now it feels like it's only going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
It just kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. Because if you like any other team in the AFC, it feels like a long shot now after he did that this year.
Yep.
So it is what it is. I mean, it creates better competition, better stories. It'll be fine.
Yep.
But it sucks a little bit that now instead of it being like, can Lamar win a playoff game or win the big moment? Can Tua finally win a playoff game? Can Herbert win a playoff game? Will Trevor be a guy? It's like all of that is umbrellaed by Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes. Yep. And now there's no Roethlisberger, Manning.
Nothing.
There's nothing to compete with them. And maybe some of these guys will be, Bengals fans, shove it up your ass. I get it. Burrow's beaten Patrick Mahomes more than anybody else, yada, yada, yada. But, like, as it stands right now, Bengals have gone once. Bills haven't gone at all. Chargers haven't gone. Ravens haven't gone. It's been consistently just the Chiefs. And maybe a couple others. Am I forgetting off the top of my head?
Maybe a few others,
But those might be just outliers at this point. So we'll see which of these other quarterbacks decides to compete with him in the playoffs more on a consistent basis, similar to the Roethlisberger and Manning type of thing with Tom Brady.
We need someone to step up,
and
sure.
I think it will. I mean, things regress. Andy Reid doesn't have as much time as Belichick did, probably. Who knows? But Travis Kelce certainly doesn't. So,
well, and it's like we talked episodes ago, about how difficult it is when you win back-to-back, right?
Right.
So now they're going for the ultimate, never-been-done three-peat.
Yeah, the Triple Crown.
So that's massive.
It is.
And if there's a team that could do it, it would be them.
Right.
You'd have to say. But
Completely
again,
agree.
that challenge of that many games, again, just ended a couple days ago. You're already mid-February. The new season starts on March 13th.
Yep.
And so you're already kind of behind it, and so the team played more games than anybody else. That takes a toll. So we'll just see what happens there. But they're battling that as much as they are other teams.
Oh,
now.
yeah. And then with success comes people wanting more money.
Right.
They used to have, who's the nickname Honey Badger? I think he's on the Matthews. Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, that's
Tyrann Mathieu. You have
the one that Brady taunted that in the one game,
which was awesome.
Yeah,
and then you have like Tyreek Hill, who's already left. I don't know if both of them were money related, but as you get success, more people will be asking for more money. Given wide receivers on that team probably won't be because they're also young and terrible.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Tony will be gone.
It'll be how they negotiate that because you'll get a mix of people that want more money and people that want to ring chase.
Right.
And typically it kind of balances out when you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Right.
But it's a hard thing to get that same chemistry again that won you the last two Super Bowls, which sounds counterintuitive, but it is.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be very interesting.
This will be a 5 to 10 year long process, so it's not like the world's ending right now.
No.
It'll be one of those things like with Brady where you look back and go, wow, he beat the shit out of whoever every time, and he could never win against whoever.
And your point you made just a minute ago about the receivers and the drops and all that shit, and they still won the Super Bowl.
That's the part.
That's what's frightening about it is, they were kind of more like the traditional dynasties to where you had the key main players.
Yeah, you needed four.
And those guys just took over the game.
Yeah.
The key main players being better. The Niners have great key players. They just weren't better.
No, and the Niners are well-rounded everywhere. And it's just interesting to see, okay, so you make a great team filled with all superstars, then no one's a superstar.
Yep.
And
it reminded me of the 90s Cowboys when it was the triplets.
Mm-hmm.
And so what defenses would say about Aikman, Emmett, and Irvin was, we know what they're going to do. We just can't stop it.
Yep.
The Chiefs are exactly that same way.
Yeah, because
what are they going to do?
Nothing.
He's going to throw it to Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
Duh. He still has 3 yards?
Yeah, I think so. Some along those lines.
Yeah, and it's still dominating in the key moments.
I know.
So that's the thing. A team that does what you think they're going to do and just punches you in the face and still does it, that's dominating. That's domination.
It's crazy.
The Niners don't do that. They get you with misdirection and foolery and all this stuff. The Chiefs just punch you in the face.
And I'm not saying this to be a Purdy hater because I'm not. The kid is young. He has amazing stats to go to back-to-back NFC. I mean, back-to-back NFC championships, but not Super Bowls.
Yep.
But that was his first Super Bowl.
First Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Yep. Right. I keep getting that mixed up. But for him to do all that, amazing.
It was.
Love him as a player. The
Yep.
whole story, Mr. Irrelevant. It's an amazing thing.
Yep.
But man, is it going to get loud for people that think he's not it? Because it always feels like it's Shanahan's offense that's
Yep.
getting him there. Anybody could do it.
Yep.
And I'm not saying anybody could do it. I'm just saying when it's Mahomes versus Purdy, you got to take Mahomes. And it's not that I'm putting him down to bring Mahomes up. It's just Mahomes is that
He's
guy.
next level.
He's something else that no other team in the NFL has.
And what he has that Brady didn't have, Brady's got more rings, obviously. So let's just period.
Right.
But what he skill-wise has that Brady really didn't have is the mobility.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The ability when he has
to scramble that fourth down.
and he's just like Brady. They're smart in key situations.
Yep.
Their awareness of a key moment in the game. Why would I throw it if I've got this huge gap in the middle of the field
Yeah.
where I can run and get I've got the first
Why
down.
try and force something?
Yep. It's like instantaneously calculating these risks in his head,
Yeah,
and he goes with the best way to get done what has to happen on that
Oh
play.
yeah. Why give it to Pacheco with 8
And-
guys in the box when I could run it the other way and get a first down with 5 steps and slide?
And again, Jimmy Johnson, he always said it. You can't coach stupid.
No, you can't.
If a player never understands, third and five, the situations and what to do.
Yep.
Don't take the sack. Don't take the sack. And you take the sack. What the fuck are you doing?
I know. I completely agree.
I love seeing smart quarterback play
Right.
just as much as I hate seeing poor, stupid quarterback
Yes.
play.
Yes.
Know where the fuck you are in the game.
Yeah, what makes sense.
Gosh.
And it is what it is. It'll be, there's already been stuff coming out on the 49ers side that makes it sound like that whole team's getting it absolved.
Well,
Brandon Ayuk, his brother had a couple cryptic Snap Instagram stories, I think, that he put on social media about, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Ayuk got you here, which maybe, yeah. There's other things about Ayuk put out about why are we not getting me the ball more.
Yep.
There was other people talking about Kittle not getting anything.
Yep. Well, Wilkes is getting picked on, the defensive coordinator. Shanahan's being called the guy that can't hold a lead.
He's being compared to Andy Reid, who couldn't get it done early in his
Couldn't
career.
get it done. And that the Atlanta Super Bowl when
Yep.
they blew it against the Patriots and they came back, he was your offensive coordinator?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so there you
Not-
go.
Not a good look.
Why are we taking the ball? The big story was the Niners admit they don't understand the overtime
Oh,
rules.
Kyle Juszczyk's.
There's a huge one.
You see what he said?
No.
He came out, and I'll put the official blurb up here, but from what I remember, it was he thought if the 49ers were to score on that drive, overtime was over.
Yes.
So it seemed like a couple players may not have known. I'm assuming the coaches did. I'm not taking away from
Right.
Shanahan's intelligence.
Right.
But I have to think that was just a mistake all around to not give yourself the second drive and to give yourself the first drive.
Yes.
I get in the old ways, scoring a touchdown or a field goal,
It was over.
Take it every
Yeah.
time. It makes sense. But in the new ways, do the 49ers, hypothetically, indulge me, I'm a Chargers fan, hypothetical Herbert situations are the internet's favorite thing to make fun of. But if Shanahan goes into that drive going, we're getting a touchdown or we are turning this over, does that play out differently? Because if they get that touchdown, he's flaunted as an offensive genius.
Yeah.
If they don't get it, then he's a moron.
Right.
But then if the Chiefs go the other way and score the touchdown, when they look back at it, they go, well, okay, he really had his hands tied. But you never know the end result because you took it first.
Right.
You should have just given the Chiefs the ball, let them be the Chiefs, and then you have to go
Which
for it
you
on
have.
fourth down.
Amen.
In my opinion.
no,
I'm just some mark, but
No, and I think most analysts agree with that, because the other thing we've heard too is the Niners defense was tired late in the game
right.
because of how the Chiefs were rallying.
That's right.
And so they got that field goal at the end. They had been pushing them around.
They wanted
Give
to
them
rest
the
the
ball.
defense.
You know what you got to do. It's not over if he scores.
Right.
Mahomes gets the ball in clutch time. Odds are he's going to score.
Yeah. No.
So
history
you rest
tells
your
us that.
defense, and you get a shot to kind of regroup and
That
gather
makes
yourself.
sense.
So
I understand both sides. It's just in the moment. I feel like at the end of every game, the whole defense for both teams has to be gassed.
yes,
I guess, I didn't think about that. The fact that Chiefs were beating up the 49ers defense going into overtime.
Yeah, so they were saying
They
they
were
were trying to get him
brutalized.
over. Yeah, and then he made some comment, Kyle Shanahan, about wanting to get the third possession, which made no sense to me. Maybe I didn't hear the whole thing right.
Maybe he thought the Chiefs would softball it and just go for a field goal. So then by the time they got it the third time around, because the time doesn't matter.
No.
The fact there's an overtime time and a Super Bowl specifically, any playoffs for that matter, is just it's nonsense.
Right.
But the concept of that already makes you feel like, oh, so you just planned on taking a field goal and being happy with it, which is already, you fucked yourself.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are going all or nothing, probably.
I really think, I mean, from everything that we've heard, they just didn't understand the situation very well.
It felt like maybe they didn't plan for it as much.
Yeah.
I think I heard Andy Reid did.
Yeah.
This is all hearsay, but it's like, jeez.
Seemed like when it happened, they just said, "Oh, we want the ball.
I know.
We want the ball." You know, and I don't know.
It's a bit. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to see all the players come out and talk about what what's been happening internally now. I mean, I have to imagine Ayuk's. Someone on that offense is leaving.
Yep.
Because that's not the first time they've done this.
No. McCaffrey having the fumble, that was unusual.
That was unfortunate.
Special teams for the Niners really let down.
Yeah.
Blocked extra points.
Nothing you can really do about that except, block better.
Yeah.
You can't put on.
Rudy, he kicked great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they broke the field goal record twice.
Yeah. So there's another
It's like, fuck.
Yeah. What do we got to do here?
Yeah.
And then the one guy have the ball hit his foot, and then the other guy McLeod tried to recover it and fumbled it, and it wasn't his fault.
No,
the other guy's fault.
Yep.
And at least McLeod tried to get it, recognizing it did hit his
because
foot.
In the moment it looks like, what are you doing?
Right.
But then you slow mo realize he had no shot but to have to try and get it.
It was actually a heads up play to try to get it.
It was.
But special teams, man.
Oh, that'll kill you.
And that's what did them in, because if that extra point had been hit, that'd have been it.
Yeah, it would have been. Or
would have been over. Or they had to make a different decision, right?
McCaffrey doesn't fumble.
Yeah.
There's these silly moments. And Patrick Mahomes had what? Interception, 2 interceptions?
1 interception, I think.
Which, is technically, I guess, they offset. So never mind about the McCaffrey fumble, technically.
And one of the great questions, Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who's done a phenomenal job.
What a god.
Why is that guy not on anyone's list to talk to for a head coaching job?
I will never understand it. It was talked about like Bieniemy not being an offense or not changing teams for as long as he did. And then as soon as he does, it comes out that he's too hard on the players.
Makes no sense to me, because Spagnuolo, my gosh, the plan. And what did he do? He blitzed every third down, including the last one that forced him to go for the field goal.
Yep.
He blitzed every third down, and Purdy's throwing off the back foot.
Inaccurate.
Never comfortable in those situations.
And I agree with you. I have to imagine the Chiefs have got that man, similar to how they had Bieniemy, on a closed grip chokehold before any news can get to him about a team wanting him. I have to think that now that it's happened to him and it's happened to Bieniemy, 2 amazing coaches that, it just seems like the Chiefs get exclusive rights to.
Yeah.
Which, good for them. Yeah, I don't know what they're promising. For all we know, they're getting shares on the back end of something. I just assume if you own an NFL team, you have incredible wealth, which is probably for the most part true.
Absolutely true.
If you've got this great team, that there's back end shit happening.
Right.
Not saying it's wrong. Pay them however you want to and they see fair.
Right.
But there's something over there that's keeping people there other than Mahomes and Reed.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Money only gets you so far.
The promise of the job when he leaves. Maybe that.
Once you retire, because they all are getting old. We will keep you on as assistant, and you'll be on the payroll till you die. There's enough they can do that Spagnuolo is like, I don't care how fucking good any other team is.
Why? If you were Andy
the benefits.
Reid, if you're Spagnuolo, any of those guys, while you have Pat Mahomes, why would you leave?
No, you have Travis Kelce, Mahomes. Spagnuolo remade that defense into the best one I think they said Mahomes statistically has had in his career so far.
Yeah.
Fuck all. I do it. I
Beyond me.
Oh my god. Yep. I hate it. I mean, congrats to them. I'm not mad they won the whole thing by any means. Right. There's a lot of mad Chargers fans that were like, if you rooted for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you're not a Chargers fan. It's like, no, go fuck yourself. We play them twice a year. The least that we could do is have them win the Super Bowl so we don't look as shitty.
Right. Yeah.
But amazing team. They've created something that has only been done one other time.
And again, it's like we've talked about it. Here we go. So, Jim Harbaugh's getting ready to get started putting his finger print on the Chargers. You know, Sean Payton's getting ready to make his decision on what he's doing with Russell Wilson.
He finally gets a quarterback that he chooses, which is a much bigger deal than most people give.
Yep, huge deal.
Especially when you were dealing with Russell Wilson that first year.
Yep.
Who knows what happened?
And the Raiders have their guy, so
yeah,
that
Alex
AFC
Spear.
West is getting ready to be just a body bag of
that's what
beating up on one another.
That's what I hope. But we had this song and dance 2-3 years ago when it happened. I'm hoping going to be more competitive. I mean, kudos to the Broncos and Raiders. They were way more competitive this year than I thought they would be.
Yep.
Chargers sucked something fierce, but
well,
what are you going to do? It's just another year.
It's going to emerge well from here, I think.
We need Staley gone, so I'm not complaining. But what a crazy Super Bowl, honestly, all around.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think, wasn't any real headlines from the Super Bowl other than just typical reactions?
I don't think so. Nothing that occurs to me offhand.
No, we never heard anything else about the turf. I know the public ended up winning. A majority of the bets were on the Chiefs to win and cover.
I heard that
which
too.
happened. So that kind of discredited the whole script thing because being in Las Vegas, you would have thought they would have turned on the Buffalo Wild Wings sprinklers to have the Chiefs miss something in order to have the 49ers win. So kudos to the public on that one.
Yep, exactly.
I can run through some of the bets real quick.
Yeah, do that.
Give a little record.
Yep.
So I know I gave Pacheco's yards, rushing yards, and Christian McCaffrey's yards. They both missed. They were both under in that game.
Shit.
Which is fine. No big deal. Noah Gray, we said to get his receptions. That hit. He got 2, I think. So over 1.5 was easy. The Chris Jones, Nick Bosa special missed, which was
half.
Yeah, which was a real bummer because I think Bosa totaled for 1 maybe, or he had at least a half, but Chris Jones just never got there. Whatever. Rashee Rice didn't get 7 receptions, which
4, didn't he?
I think he ended up with 5 or 6.
Okay,
but it
was short yardage. It was like 50 yards, and
I figured he wouldn't have 7 receptions or whatever they set it at. So easy call there. And then the Koi Pond pick hit.
It did.
How about us?
We did our under.
We started 0-5. We brought it back to we started 0-4 and brought it to 5-5.
Not bad, huh?
So we went on a 5-1 tear.
We rallied. Yeah, we rallied big time. Yeah,
we rallied for the playoffs.
Yep.
So not too bad. Super Bowl.
And how about that under, huh?
My God.
Was it 47.5?
Yeah.
And it was 47.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. I'm just blown. Whether it's basketball, whether it's March Madness, whether it's football.
Maybe that's something we could do some research in and
Yeah.
have an episode on. It's like, how can sports books predict these over-unders so accurately?
That'd be really interesting.
Maybe I'll do that on the side.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for you.
Stay tuned. We might have something special for you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But it was they got it by half a point in the biggest game.
How do they know that?
It's incredible. But overall, bets that I think I said on here, we went 3 for 3. So
Good.
you technically would have lost a little bit of money, given all of those were minus 110 odds. But you know what? Having the bets and you break almost even, it's pretty good.
Yeah, there you go.
You have some to cheer for and some to root for. Do you see the numbers that came out for how many people watched the Super Bowl?
It was like number 1 of all time.
Yep, 123.7 million.
So somebody, I think it was NFL Radio, was talking about, and I've seen this before where Taylor Swift is like 1% of the gross domestic product, the GDP, for like this year.
Wow.
I'd be curious to see if they could put a percentage or a number to her impact on the ratings. How many more people watched it that wouldn't have watched, like from the demographics?
Right. Well, there was a couple speculations given. I think it's pretty hard to tell from their side of things between family households. But I think they said the next highest Super Bowl had like 118 million.
Wow.
Which means, up 5 million doesn't sound like a lot, but I think the third was like a 1 in 11, 111. So instead of a 2 million increase, it was like 5 million.
Wow.
I would have to believe Taylor Swift had something to do with that.
It's a pretty damn big thing.
I think also being in Las Vegas, from everything I've heard, made it feel like the Super Bowl was on a much grander stage than it usually is, which is hard to think that would have any effect, but it made it sound like worldwide there was more people watching knowing that it was in Las Vegas.
Interesting.
I don't know how true that is. I have nothing to back it up.
Yeah.
But I did think that was an interesting stat.
Yeah, it really is, for sure.
All right. Anything else Super Bowl-wise you wanted to chat about, specifically about the game?
No, Super Bowl-wise, I think that's kind of it for now.
Did you have any favorite commercials that popped up?
I really didn't. So I watched it at a bar.
Okay, that's
so
right.
I really couldn't hear.
I didn't think about that.
So that kind of made that part of it difficult.
Did you ever see the Google Pixel commercial?
No,
They blurred the screen out.
really.
So the whole commercial, most of it, is shot like in a blurry screen, and then the whole like ad point of it is that everything's so clear on the Google Pixel,
Okay.
using the camera and shit.
Huh.
I couldn't look at it. It was so bad
Really?
because it made me feel like I didn't have my contacts in. So I was like, I had my contacts in, looking at the TV, and I was almost squinting. It was like the one they did a few years back where it just went silent for a few minutes, and
Kind of strange, huh?
it just sucked. I hated it. People loved the creativity of it. Fuck you. It was annoying, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one, just to give my favorite, the E-Trade Babies were back as a runner-up. They're
Okay.
playing pickleball.
Yeah.
I found it humorous, but I'm very simple to please. I think the favorite one was Sarah V. They had Michael Cera, and they did a play on Michael Cera's last name with Sarah V, and he was like massaging himself with lotion.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious, but I think I'm just still locked on to Superbad from back in the day.
Yeah.
But that was my favorite and my least favorite right
Okay.
there. Just to give a little something to the Super Bowl commercials. Comment what your favorite Super Bowl commercial was.
I did see and I don't know if it was for the Super Bowl or before it, the Christopher Walken commercial where he's coming out, getting in his car, and everybody that he runs into is, talking like him.
Oh,
Did you ever
yes,
see that?
I did.
So
I don't know
it's
if
the
that,
more was that Super Bowl or no?
it might have been.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right.
I
can't say that it
remember.
was.
I
It was
just
just a-
remembered like my top 3, and I just ran through them in my head.
It was. I mean, I couldn't help it because just the other day, if you remember Saturday Night Live at all,
Oh yeah.
and the classic "I Need More Cowbell,"
Oh
that
yeah.
was Christopher Walken.
Okay.
And so when he's walking out to get in his car, he's like, "I think I'm gonna get in my car
Yes,
and go for a drive."
I did see
And,
that.
and everybody that he runs into is like
impersonating his
his
funny mannerisms. Yeah,
funny
yeah.
as could be. And all I could think the whole time is, fellas, that's pretty good. But I gotta be honest, it could use more cowbell.
Will Ferrell's in the background just beating the shit out of the cowbell.
Yes.
And this-
Jimmy Fallon laughing hysterically
yes,
in the
he
back.
couldn't keep it together.
Couldn't keep it together.
I remember that one.
And Christopher Walken goes, fellas, I'm just like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time. Only difference is, once my pants are on, I make solid gold records. Never question Bruce Dickinson. It's so funny. Go back and watch it if you.
Oh,
but anyway,
I
that
love-
commercial was good, and it
Yep.
really made you think of
Yes.
all his funny shit.
Throwback to all that stuff.
Yep. Again, don't know if it was a Super Bowl
Well,
commercial, but
honorable mention.
it was a new one that
It's a
I
good-
just saw.
Hey,
Yeah.
solid commercials work
There
too.
you go. Yeah.
And I see you have a fun little stat on there or something.
I got a few things that
Cool.
it kind of is post Super Bowl that we'll
works.
slide
We-
into.
We did the first half. You Super Bowl fans, if I can take just a second, we have no idea what this offseason holds. We got college stuff all the time, football-wise. Any news that comes out, we'll take suggestions. We
Yeah.
have our own route: movies, stocks, current events. We'll turn into more of a general sports type of podcast and roll with that. The NFL will always come first on this show. More than likely, I guess we haven't talked about it.
I would think so, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's personally what I'd prefer.
Yeah, me too.
Baseball, maybe we'll cover if someone dies, but
Yeah.
simple stuff. But it will continue. This will keep coming out. Don't worry.
And I think what Colin's saying there too is, we started looking at a little bit of the metrics and the demographics that we're getting from you all watching the podcast, and what we'd really like to hear, from anybody and everybody that wants to comment, what are things that we talk about that you like and want to hear? What is a topic you'd like to hear that we're not talking about? We just want to try to dial in more with our audience and get to know you more
For sure.
and build the show for you. We
Yeah.
talk about things that we're interested in, but this
us
is
know.
really all about you guys for
Yeah,
sure.
We'll rant about anything.
And I say guys because the last couple metrics we looked at, I think we're about 100% men. So
Yes, and and I will say that is of the people that have chosen in their Google accounts
Okay.
what they are. So I
Got
didn't
it.
see the exact number if that's like out of the 5 people that watch that
Yeah.
have chosen on their Gmail account.
got it.
But regardless, it's probably mostly guys.
Yeah. So regardless,
Let us know.
male, female, whatever, you want to hear something that we're not talking about,
Toaster, Apache helicopter.
let us know. We'd love to dial that in and talk about the things that you
Yes.
want to hear about. So
And
love
as
that.
we do. As we do.
So yeah, just some news and notes from around the NFL, funny things, kind of the start of the off season, if you will, and what will be the new season in less than a month now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone's heard this or not, but a random Green Bay Packer fan applied for the Packers defensive coordinator job.
Yes,
I thought that was worth as fans. That was fun to talk about.
Well pointed out. I meant to bring this up several shows.
And somebody wrote on their Twitter account, my cousin Bill applied for the Green, which is funny as hell just to hear it said that way. I was laughing.
This is awesome.
He received a handwritten letter back from President and CEO Mark Murphy, and the letter basically says, "Thanks so much for your cover letter and resume regarding our defensive coordinator position." And Colin will can post this.
Oh yeah.
While your fantasy football experience is impressive,
I can appreciate that.
I regret to inform you that we have decided to go in a different direction. How nice. That's such a kind response, right?
You have to assume, given how everything is in the NFL, they can appreciate a good little, joke once in a while that's, he clearly doesn't think he's actually going to get it, but I want to see what the cover letter looked like, because I don't think he showed it in the post.
I don't think so either.
It has to be hilarious.
And here's the best line. This is the continuance of the response from Mark Murphy, the president. I hear the Bears have an opening. Yeah. You look to be a perfect fit for them. Thanks again, sincerely, Mark. That's priceless.
Oh, the fact the Packers never give up a spot where they can take a dig at Chicago is amazing.
I love it.
It's quite the rivalry.
Isn't it fabulous?
Well, I guess it is one of the oldest in the NFL, but regardless, it's amazing.
It is.
And kudos to him for even thinking of writing that and sending it in. I would never have even thought of it.
Get the letter back.
Yeah.
And the handwritten note. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Oh yeah, you get the whole thing framed immediately.
And now you've got him and his friends even more drawn in, so it's perfect.
Awesome. I love that story. 10 out of 10.
All right, so just some little news and notes as we kind of start into the new season.
Yep.
So it's looking more and more like the Bears are likely to trade Justin Fields.
I saw that.
And it's sounding like so far that the Falcons may be a team there that's interested in him.
I saw Falcons and Patriots maybe as the top contenders, but it's all hypothetical.
The other thing that I had heard was that they may also entertain Justin Fields staying with the team and still drafting a quarterback first.
Interesting.
Put the two together and create competition.
Okay.
What's really interesting about that is back in 1989 when the Cowboys drafted Troy Aikman, they had the supplemental NFL draft. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but they had a supplemental draft back then for some reason. And the Cowboys also took Steve Walsh, who at the time, I believe, had won or been a runner-up to the National Collegiate Championship with the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh.
And so, because Jimmy Johnson came from the Hurricanes,
right,
he kind of wanted Steve Walsh in the beginning.
Right.
And so they ended up trading Steve Walsh later and getting some picks for him, but it's an interesting concept. I hadn't heard really somebody do that in a while.
I don't know how much I'd like that if I'm a Bears fan, only because it feels like a lot of these teams recently that have tried a light version of that, it just doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And, Chicago, it can't get much worse at this point.
Yep.
If I'm them, I would not even entertain the Caleb Williams idea, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't have anything against him, but
interesting, right?
Yeah, I feel like you need to take the picks, but who knows? Who knows? It'll be interesting to see where Justin Fields, if they do trade him, goes, though.
Agree. So Broncos apparently moving toward the Russell Wilson decision, as we all know.
Yeah.
But rumors are that they are eyeing J.J. McCarthy, who now is rumored to be more sought after than we thought. We kind of talked about him as maybe he wasn't the talent we thought he might be. So far right now, from, I believe, the recent discussions and scuttlebutt, McCarthy is rising in the draft ranks. Bo Nix is coming down. So we'll see how that pans out as we move forward.
It'll be interesting. I don't have enough of a pulse on college football, how it ended, and see where everyone had each other ranked, because could that also be Jim Harbaugh being back in the NFL? Talking to other coaches and whatnot, seeking out trade offers for different people, and someone asks about J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, it could very well be. But he knows him, right? Better than anybody.
Yeah, Bo Nix was in the college, though, for like 5 or 6 years, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I thought with COVID he had some crazy long career. Not like the tight end for Oregon, but
no kidding,
up there.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see where these quarterbacks go. I heard the next draft class in quarterbacks doesn't look too bright.
Yeah.
So a lot of people might end up reaching for quarterbacks in this draft, knowing there won't be many in the next one.
Well, and these were Senior Bowl. I had stock up and stock downs, and we can hit those real quick here in a minute. But Bo Nix was a down.
Oh.
And from the game, which I did finally go back and watch the Senior Bowl and the East-West Shrine game. But his deep ball accuracy issues and was inconsistent.
That's
at
not
the Senior
a good
Bowl.
look.
So that's not a good start for Bo Nix.
That is bad.
Let's see, the Giants, the Cowboys have hired Mike Zimmer as their defensive coordinator. He comes back to the Cowboys after being there with Deion Sanders in the early mid 90s, I guess. And also, he was a part of Deion's coaching staff at Colorado.
That's where he's been the last couple of years while he was not coaching for the Vikings.
Exactly. So that's kind of an interesting thing now. So the tie-in back to the Cowboys, Deion with the Cowboys, Zimmer with the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And apparently at the Super Bowl, Deion's two kids who play for him at Colorado met Jerry Jones and said, he'll oversee the defense and I'll oversee the offense if you draft us next year. So setting up maybe is primetime going to be the head coach of the Cowboys if McCarthy doesn't work out.
Interesting. How do you feel about Zimmer being back? Is it a good filler position given it all rides on McCarthy?
It's interesting because they were talking about it in the pregame for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And on ESPN, and they were saying basically Adam Schefter's reporting that this is a deal that was done. And Rex Ryan chimed in and said, I don't think you've got the latest information. And sure enough, it is accurate.
Yeah, I saw that.
That the Cowboys went back for a second discussion with Rex Ryan. And everybody was wondering, was there a contract deal with Zimmer because it took a while to finalize it? And it was, in fact, because they went back and wanted to talk to Rex Ryan again. So I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but that's kind of interesting.
On the bright side, the end result stayed the same, so there was no surprises necessarily. But it was funny hearing them misreport it, more or less.
Yeah.
And it still be Zimmer.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
But at least it's someone that's been with Jerry before and kind of knows. If this is just going to be a filler defensive coordinator, more or less, because it all rides on McCarthy. Who knows who would this time next year, if McCarthy doesn't work out and they fire him, they don't want to have a defensive coordinator locked in for longer than the head coach necessarily. So it makes sense, but
and
it's better than Rivera, honestly.
I agree. I'm kind of looking forward to going home, and so Zimmer had his press conference at 2:00 today, so I'm kind of looking forward to hearing. But I think he'll be holding them more accountable than Dan Quinn.
Right.
And the Cowboys had an awful lot of pre-snap penalties on defense.
I remember
and Zimmer won't tolerate that shit at all. So from that standpoint, I'm stoked about that.
And he didn't have a bad career with the Vikings, honestly.
He really didn't.
The injuries kind of got them more than anything.
Yeah.
So I think
couldn't get over the hump.
Defensive coordinator will be good, and Zimmer and McCarthy are very familiar with each other, given Packers and Vikings.
That's right.
I would say out of everyone you had left, that probably make me the happiest.
Yep, I agree.
Just to wrap a bow on that.
Yeah, no doubt. So Brian Callahan at the Titans, filling out his staff.
Right.
Going to be, I think, a very good coach.
I would say so.
So he's bringing in his dad, the legendary Bill Callahan.
Right.
Not to be confused with Tommy Callahan and his dad, auto brake parts and all that.
Yep.
But his dad is a legendary offensive line coach, and I'm really for them because he was with the Cowboys for a while, and just seeing him around the league. Stoked to see him go with his son to the Titans.
That'd be cool.
I think they're going to be great. Also interesting that let's see, they had somebody else on the staff here. I don't know what I did with it, but some more significant coaches who coached under somebody else.
Nice.
That he brought in. So he's kind of got that next level down to the ones we haven't heard yet.
That's smart.
Who are beneath legendary coaches.
I think that's a good way to build a team if it's your first year. You can't go wrong. And given usually first year coaches, it's a bit bumpier than the headlines would lead you to believe.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a good step to have a good supporting cast. So good on them. I mean, the Titans need everything they can get at this point. And that's all I have.
Yeah, one of these guys that he brought in was Ben Bloom, who was the last 4 seasons, he was Myles Garrett's position coach in Cleveland.
That's a smart hire.
So those kind of examples, right? These are unknowns, but these are not people that haven't contributed significantly.
Right.
to some big defenses and offenses. So I think that's a great thing.
Hell yeah.
Hassan Reddick
Ooh.
for the Eagles. It was rumored that he was seeking a trade and
Yeah.
wondering what was going on with that. Apparently that was not true at all.
Wow.
And they're apparently working on an extension for him to stay with the Eagles.
That makes a lot more sense.
So
I was curious why he'd even want to get out of there, but
yeah.
it wasn't true. So no worries.
And I don't know that I'd put this at the top, but this is kind of the first of the moves of the season, I think. Mitch Trubisky, Steelers have parted ways with him, kind of setting up what will they do with their quarterback position. But they still have Pickett and they still have Rudolph. So
It's not a total loss. It just feels like they've really gotten Steelers fans, Steelers coaches really just aren't sold on Pickett.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because he grew up around there, went to Pitt and all that stuff. But it is what it is. Maybe having another person they could say is an easy first starter will create a competition where Pickett has moments in camp and gets the start or something.
yeah, exactly right. Couple other notes with so the Commanders, they bring in, of course, Dan Quinn as the head coach.
Yep.
He brings Joe, I think it's Vitt,
Okay.
who was basically his assistant coach at the Cowboys.
Oh boy.
To be the D coordinator.
Nice.
And then they go out and they get Ken Norton Jr.,
What do I remember?
who was a linebacker for the Cowboys in the 92-93 Super Bowl. Went to the 49ers in 94, won 3 straight Super Bowls as a player.
Wow.
And great defensive player. I think good coach, so very solid hire there.
Hell yeah.
So that'll be fun as a Cowboys fan to see how they come along.
It was already bad enough with the Eagles. Now you got the Commanders too.
Exactly.
But
so,
who knows? I mean, that team's kind of in shambles at the moment, so it might take them a few years to rebuild.
right.
How do you feel about Lamar Jackson getting MVP?
I think it's okay. I personally would have probably said Christian McCaffrey. Me personally.
It was hard to pick a quarterback this year that felt like they deserved it.
Because every quarterback had some shitty games.
And we had the most backup quarterbacks ever.
Yeah. So
Very few had a full season, and
Yep.
even fewer had amazing seasons.
I really thought Christian McCaffrey would be the one to win. He
fe-
was the most consistent, in my opinion.
It felt like Christian McCaffrey might have gotten snubbed, given it isn't a quarterback award, as they say.
yeah.
It is what it is. Who cares? But good on Lamar, I guess. I mean, he did have a good regular season. I don't know if I'd pick him to win the award.
And I still just, I know it's for the regular season.
Yeah.
I still just don't know what the hell happened with them in the playoffs either. That's a mystery to me.
That should be studied for years to come.
Yep.
And now most of those people have been snagged by the Chargers.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm hoping we got the good ones, and not
Yeah.
the bad ones. But
yeah, you got the ones that were there, I think.
we got a lot of them, because they got the personnel guy as a general manager. There was like 3 different coaches from the Ravens that came over.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, they just hired for, I think, assistant to the linebackers coach, one of the legendary Chargers players. So
oh, wow, sweet.
one of their more lesser known guys, but was good on defense. I don't know.
Okay.
It was before my time. Don't sue me. But they just hired him, so I'm pumped about those hires. But what about comeback player of the year being Joe Flacco and not DeMar Hamlin?
I kind of like it, actually.
I thought
to
it
me,
fit. But they need to do a better job of figuring out how they want to really organize these awards as they get put more under a microscope.
I agree.
Because as stats become more available and technology increases, it feels like everyone has a better idea of who should get what. And they don't need to name it like the best player to die and come back on the field award.
I know. I mean,
But it's like if DeMar came back and then was a second string for a majority of the season versus Joe Flacco, who was gone for 3 years,
Right.
not starting, and then has an amazing season. It's like they both deserve something, but how do you decide who's comeback player of the year? Because someone literally died, and someone had the more standard comeback year.
right.
I don't know.
And again, it feels kind of like a feel-good political pick, if you will.
It does.
And I don't mean to say anything like that because the guy making a comeback is a great thing. But you said it, I think. If he elevated back to a level of something, and he was something before that, and kind of gone down and come up, you're not supposed to. They say it traditionally, lose your job to an injury.
Right.
So how can you win an award to an injury?
No, and I agree. And it's not like anybody gave Ron Rivera Coach of the Year once he almost died of cancer, right?
Right.
And there might have been Zimmer
Yeah.
had something, or
His
died.
eyes. He had something, I think, going on.
And I feel like if you're not going to give them Coach of the Year just for having some terrible incident and then coming back, then why would you do it for the players?
Right.
That might be a hot take, but that's just how I look at it. But I do agree there needs to be
Yeah.
Make the DeMar Hamlin Award, someone who came back from the
Make it a
worst
one-time
injury.
unique.
Or every year. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like every year now we have people coming
Rogers
back.
next year,
Yeah.
maybe with the
If he does well, or even starts. I mean, I don't care. But
again, it's got to be about what's on the field.
yes, I agree.
What was on the field, where it went, and where it's back from.
Yeah.
And if you watch Flacco, his performance was amazing.
I mean, people thought he was a moron for playing on the Jets. When he was starting there, and it was bad. It was real bad. And then he goes to the Browns, and he's the backup. And then Deshaun gets hurt. And then someone Mitchell the third. What was that other guy's name?
I forget it. Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
I mean, there were so many you can't keep track of them.
Flacco comes in, does crazy shit. Given they blow it to the Texans, but to get there was pretty impressive from where it looked like. And they lost Chubb. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a bad person saying that DeMar didn't deserve it.
Yep.
But, for a comeback player of the year, I think the stats would say Flacco, even though it's like, he died, but I don't know how to say it without, immediately being like that old white. It's hard not to be, but there needs to be 2 awards maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think an award if they did best player to come back from most gruesome injury. You can name it the PTCB or something like that.
Right.
PTCI. I don't know. I'm not, and I shouldn't be making those decisions. So, my opinion.
Yeah.
Good on them both for coming back regardless.
Yeah.
But, oh my God. And then I think Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
Which, over TJ Watt's a hot take.
Well, and that was a big controversy too, right?
I mean, these awards this year were garbage because everyone did either great or terrible.
Right.
So.
Yep.
I
agree with you.
I didn't have much of an opinion on the defensive thing because then it's like, how do you determine who's better between Rashad Bland on the Cowboys?
Yes.
With all those interceptions.
Deron Bland,
Bland,
yep.
And then like a linebacker. There's no stats that carry over. So it's almost like you don't even need to have these awards. You need to have like best quarterback of the year, best running back of the year, and just make an all-pro team and everyone gets a trophy. Like, it's getting too polarizing.
Yes.
You're one of two.
Yep.
But it's just my take. It's worked. It's been the NFL for 58 years now, or how fucking long. Like, come on.
Yep. No, I agree.
I give up. That's my short rant on that. But
no, I think it's spot on, man. It lost a little credibility. The awards in general, I think, this year lost some credibility.
And as the game evolves, fucking evolve the awards. Because if one goes one way and one goes the other, it's never going to work.
The NFL has always been slow to deal with shit.
Yeah.
And for part of that is because they're fat cows.
Yes.
Billionaires, they're not going to listen to millionaires.
No.
One of the things I did enjoy was listening to a lot of the pressers from the week leading up to the Super Bowl. And I don't know if you listened to any of those or not.
I might have heard it through the grapevine.
But I heard some great stories from Emmett and Irvin and other players that I had never heard before.
Interesting.
Never heard them talk so much about things that happened back in the day.
Right.
And there was some really cool stuff.
I think I might have heard one or two of them, honestly, because I remember a couple Cowboys stories.
And I just recommend, if you like kind of the stories of how things happened and went and, the behind-the-scenes kind of shit.
The stuff we talk about now hearing in like 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, go back, go to YouTube, type in, your team
Super
or
Bowl
the pressers from this last week. And there's a whole bunch of them. There's a story that they were on, Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith were on Rich Eisen show.
Oh.
And they were telling the story about if they won, they got to eat on the flight home.
Yes.
And if they didn't win,
no food.
Jimmy said, "Take that food away from them. They lost the game." and Emmett was like, Rich is over there laughing his ass off. And he's like, "So we wanted to win." Michael Irvin's like, that's my impression of Michael Irvin. We wanted to win.
Want that food on the way home. That's hilarious.
Because you eat 5 hours before a game. You play the game. You give it your all. You're worn out. He goes, and you get on that flight. He goes, you want to eat. He goes, so we would talk about wanting to win the game so bad so we could eat on the flight home.
Food is a great motivator.
And so he goes, and Emmett's telling this story. He actually started. It was great. He's like, so this poor woman starts wheeling the cart out with the food.
Jimmy
gets up. Here's his thing coming down the aisle. They lost a game to the Redskins or something like that.
Yeah.
He gets up and goes back, and he's like, "You take that food back." And we're like, this poor lady is just Jimmy Johnson
just trying to do her job.
Yeah, and Jimmy's beat red in the face, losing his shit. He's like, "You shut up over there. You shut up over there. You lost." When you win, you can talk on the flight home.
Oh, my God.
So it was just funny hearing all this.
Yeah.
And there's, every team had players talking about that. There were news media everywhere.
You got to fill Super Bowl time somehow.
But I would absolutely recommend going back and watching some of that shit, because there were some really great, funny ass stories that these players were telling about days gone by. So
that's hilarious to think about.
But the one thing I did want to come back to, because we said if the 49ers defeat the Chiefs, Ed and Christian McCaffrey will become just the second father-son duo to win Super Bowl titles with the same team.
Right.
Not the same year, but for the same team. So we said, take your guess, put it in the comments. I don't know if we had anybody or not, but the two players were Steve Diassi and Zach Diassi.
Would never have guessed that.
Yep, for the New York Giants.
Hey, good on them.
So there you go.
Okay, that was a fun little
That was
trivia.
our little trivia thing to close that out.
Yeah.
I'll send that to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, put it up there. Man, Jason Kelsey was hilarious to watch around the Super Bowl. You see any of those videos?
I did.
Him in the luchador mask, and
after the party afterwards,
Travis and Taylor have like black whatever suits and dresses on, and they're like elegantly dancing, and then Jason Kelsey looks like this like El Nacho Libre.
Nacho Libre. That's exactly
out of the depths of a marshmallow set, just fist pounding with the Super Bowl trophy.
Yeah,
absolutely hilarious.
I thought it was Grady for a minute.
Oh, I mean, I think. Did Jason talk to players, teammates about retiring? I mean, do we think he's officially retired?
You know what? I heard him talking on a show, and he said he hadn't decided yet.
It felt like
I don't think he's decided yet.
But doesn't it feel like he's over it now that he can kind of just do his podcast that's super successful
and like he's having a blast? Right?
Every time his brother wins, just go fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the only game I don't think he went crazy at was the Dolphins one.
Right.
And that was the coldest NFL game in like 40 years or some shit. So
nobody was going crazy that.
No one was happy to be there. I think it was some crazy amount of people that got hospitalized, but oh my god.
Yeah.
Good on him. It was great internet, because it's like
very entertaining.
Very sweet after party. Travis is hanging out with Taylor Swift, very cute. And then Jason with a luchador mask on and the Kansas City overalls just
I saw him saying that the party was pretty mild until I found that mask.
Yep,
that's how he said it. He's
I'll
like,
have to find
once I found that mask, you'll have to put that picture.
Well, did you see the video of the slow pan of Taylor and Travis, and then he's falling over into a tree, tailing them? Yeah,
no,
he's following them to like the next party or whatever, and he's stumbling off the path, about to hit a tree before someone catches him and kind of like shrugs him back the other way. Which, props to his wife for, probably being with the kids and just being like, Dad might be home tonight.
So that's a great segue. So one other non-football thing I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
So this week was the Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Phoenix Open golf tournament.
Yes, good call.
Which is
that
by far
hole, right?
One of the most fan favorite golf events of the year. I mean, people mark that, go to that.
And for the PGA, it is their like live golf event.
And it's basically where the fans are just screaming. It's like Happy Gilmore almost.
It's boozed up, just hanging out.
So it's the first time ever, from what I understand, that they shut down the bars.
Yeah, they closed it off.
They closed off the alcohol. And what they say is that so many good players have gone to live that the players left are no names largely at the event.
Right.
So it's watered down, diluted. So it turned into more of the fan fest and a booze fest. We might put one of these pictures up here too, I don't know, but they showed a video, somebody took it from the stands, of this guy coming out from the bar window, walking out this thing, and they're like, he's going down.
Oh, the muddy
Boom.
area.
Yes, did you see that?
I did.
And then they show him, he starts running down the hill. They're like, he's going to go down again. He's going, and the whole crowd is like,
yeah, you get that. Everyone's in line, because the line was like 30 minutes long for a beer that's $24, and just to see someone eat it right after getting the beer, it's horrifying, because no one else in that line has anything to do. They've already talked to whoever they're with for 20 minutes. They're bored out of their mind. They just want the fucking beer.
Yep.
And here comes your favorite little Mark coming down the hill. And he's just like, no one's over there because it's muddy.
Yeah.
And poor bastard just eats it.
Oh, my gosh. Funny as shit, man.
And they had a stat for the amount of hospitalizations and blackouts of people throughout the last 3 years, I think I saw. And it just incrementally exploded compared to the last two.
I think 6 people in ambulances.
Oh, there was more than 6 people at
in
hospital.
ambulances.
Oh,
6
maybe,
people?
maybe just ambulance-wise. there
Maybe
was
so,
6.
and like 30 blackouts or
Yeah.
something like that.
And
Crazy.
I heard there was people getting into that event. Like, whoever was supposed to be checking tickets, I heard there was a certain gate that was just letting anybody in.
Really?
So if you walked up and just kind of flashed them something, you got in.
Oh my God.
So I think that ended up being part of it, obviously, because there's way too many people there than there were supposed
Oh
to
my
be.
gosh.
But
And-
what an event! If you got to go to that,
Oh.
that would have been crazy.
And having been to kind of speak to how unusual that is, having been to the Memorial PGA tournament in Columbus
Right.
several times, I mean, you go into any gate and they're just like checking everything, checking this, checking the bag. So to hear that they're letting people in,
And just willy-nilly, like...
that's insane. Someone's in some trouble there.
Oh, yeah, there'll be an investigation, probably.
Yeah.
But, there was videos. There was a police
Wow.
officer that was walking around with water bottles. And, like, there were just people slumped in the stands. And the officer, like, picks up his arm and just drops it. And the crowd starts chanting, "Let the man sleep." And he is just out cold. And they're like, we got to get this dude's booze bag is just asleep in, like, the third row. Just
And this promulgated then people being like, it's time. Live, PGA, whatever, get them all together.
Yeah.
Let these people play in certain tournaments.
Yes.
The tournaments are sucking it bad.
Yeah.
And the fans became the
just-
stars of the show because there's nothing exciting
If
to
there's
watch.
no one else to watch, what
Yeah.
does stop anybody from going, you know what, fuck it, I'm getting 7 Bud Lights and
Yep.
we're just going to run it.
Yep. Too watered down.
I
So-
mean, there was the one video of the kid jumping out in the bunker and
Yes!
lands on his
Yeah,
head.
the
and
frat
then,
kid.
And then just...
Yeah, the frat kid. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, his fraternity, like, hey, here we go, Rush or Hazing or whatever.
And, I mean, there's, like, no security trying to tackle him, given... It's not like the kid has a gun, but, it's like, get him out of there.
I mean, a player gets on a college football field and starts to go running across.
oh, and you've
without
got,
a
like,
shirt.
18 dudes.
Oh, you're getting tackled quick.
But a pro golf event, they're like, hey,
Yeah.
he'll run off to the side in a minute.
I saw him running the trap, though. That's funny. as
It
shit.
looked like his neck hit it. It was bad. I mean, that'll be one of
Yeah.
the things that starts this whole we can't split this.
Yeah.
You can have they can have like the Asian and European events or however
Yeah.
you want to say
They
it,
divide
and then
them up
like
and-
the North American events
Yeah.
PGA can still own because that's probably mostly USA.
Right.
And somehow split that up and
Yeah.
however it gets done. Hope it
Yeah.
gets done for
But
the sake
they're-
of the fans.
But they're all going to suffer eventually from
yeah.
a watered down product, right?
Exactly.
And that's
That's
kind of
not-
the thing.
That's not good.
No.
For them. The competitive market will just end up being more beer sales on both ends. But
And it's kind of a little bit like the NFL owners, like we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
being slow to kind of respond. Look at the Pro Bowl. Look at how long it took them to change the Pro Bowl, which was one of the stupidest things in the world. And I don't know why they made that so complicated, but
Yeah.
what they've got it to now
it's a step in the right direction, I
is
think.
way better,
than
than
it was 4
a
years
game
ago.
where nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
And it was that way for so long, and
was
then it was
bad.
kind of in this intermediate place for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And now they've at least got it to a place where it's fun. The players actually want to go to it.
Yes. I agree. It's getting there. It's
Yeah.
almost to a point where
Yeah.
you can say it's whatever. But I think you need to offer a cash prize to the
Yeah.
winning team. That's like, oh, we're gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
And the way they have it set up, where it's like they have the one guy center, one
Yeah.
blitzer, like that's fine. Make
Right.
it as flag football as you want.
Right.
But just I want to see then crazy catches, amazing scores, some incentive.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's in the right path. Maybe not there just yet.
Yeah. So maybe they'll take a look at the awards show too and try to
I hope
prove that.
so.
So,
Or
anyway.
try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Change is not a bad thing.
No.
Every old white will say it is. Ignore them.
Right.
Try and just make it exciting.
make it fun for everybody.
I
Yeah.
completely agree.
So
And I think, sadly, the way we have to close out the show today is we just saw the news that there was a shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs parade,
Yeah.
which is horrible, ridiculous, and quite saddening. So I hope everyone's okay. I think I saw 4 people had to be taken out in ambulances.
Huh.
Who knows what bozo decided that today was the day,
crazy
or
stuff.
whoever,
Idiots.
Absolutely terrible.
Yep.
Hope everyone's okay and staying safe, but that
Yep.
is just
That's a downer.
that's
That's a big time downer.
That's
That sucks.
pathetic. That's
Yeah.
I don't have the right words off the top of my head to say about it, but
Yep.
ridiculous beyond belief and incredibly sad that
Yep.
you take
Again.
this great celebration of
Yep.
pretty much the end of the entire season for
Yeah.
all teams and decide to do that. So
Well, here's praying, hoping,
Yes.
wishing everybody is
Justice
okay
is served
and nobody is horribly hurt.
Oh my God, that absolutely heinous. No words. But sorry to end on such a sad note.
Well, we'll actually let's end on a little up note.
Okay.
Let's just invite everybody to click the like button.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Drive up those views.
Yep. Put any comments. Again, we want to hear from you. We want
do.
to hear from our fans that are watching, and we appreciate you and want to know more what you want to hear about and hear us talk about, and
Yep.
to bring you back every week and help us grow the podcast. We're very interested in growing the podcast.
We are taking suggestions.
Yep.
Maybe more guests here soon. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe so. And we certainly want to wish you a happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, I almost forgot. Happy Valentine's Day.
Don't forget to get out there and
Didn't even think about it.
take care of your significant other.
Of course,
Whatever that means for you, and be safe most of all.
Be safe,
Yeah.
as always.
All right.
All right, well, that's it. That's all we got. And we will see you all next Thursday. Koi Pond